What is good, everyone? Welcome to the channel. My name is Paul and I make videos about Japanese society, life and culture from the viewpoint of a long-term foreign resident. I've been here for 18 plus years, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my thoughts on one of the most important holidays of the Japanese year, Obon, which has just completed here. It's a holiday that happens every August, and I want to share with you some of the traditions, some of the customs, and my take on it, as well as why I really love the Obon holiday. So if you don't know anything about Obon, or you do know something but you want to get a little more insight into the customs that go into it, please continue watching the video and let's get started. To begin, I'm going to liken Obon to an American holiday, which many of you might find strange off the bat, but bear with me. Obon is Japan's Halloween. If you go into the history of Halloween and what exactly it is, it stemmed from the fact that the Christian calendar has November 1st as All Saints' Day, which is the day of the church year where you pray for all of the souls of the recently departed. The belief then sprang up that these recently departed, their spirits or ghosts, would return on October 31st, All Hallows' Eve, and haunt the world again for that night. It became a scary thing, so people would leave food and other offerings outside of their house in order to keep the ghosts away, and people were afraid of these spirits. That tradition of putting food outside for ghosts eventually turned into the American holiday of putting out treats for children who are dressed as ghosts. But in Japan, the feeling is completely different, because Obon is also the time of year when the spirits of the deceased return to Earth. However, rather than being afraid of them, this is the time of year to welcome them back. This is a chance to make a connection with your ancestors and your loved ones who have passed away. And basically the customs of Obon all revolve around this. So first of all, Obon is usually in the middle of August. It is sometimes staggered in different places because the first thing you need to know about Obon is that it is a huge travel season, because the first thing you're supposed to do as a good member of a family in Japan is to return to your place of birth, or return to your family's origin spot. And so there's a lot of people traveling in Japan at this time. The traffic jams are famous, crowded trains and airports, etc. So if you are a tourist thinking of coming to Japan, you might want to look at when Obon is and avoid coming here at that time, because you're just going to add to the chaos of the travel. When you return to your hometown, one of the things you do, and this is a custom all across Japan, is you go to the grave sites of your family and you clean them. You get a bucket and you wash them off, and you pick up any weeds and any trash that might have happened there. And then you will give fresh flowers and finally an offering of incense and prayer for the souls of the departed. And you'll see lots of families, usually as a group, not just one or two people, but a family group will be at the grave sites cleaning and making everything presentable and making these offerings of fresh flowers and incense. Now, in addition to this custom, there are also many local customs depending on the area of Japan that your family is coming from. For example, I was told by a student who is from Western Hiroshima that they actually light fireworks at the grave sites. So it's not just putting fresh flowers and incense, but they actually light off fireworks. Now, a fellow YouTuber who I follow called Ronin Dave posted recently on his feed that in Maebashi there's a history of lighting an entire boat on fire as a way to transport the souls of the deceased. The fire ritual is not only limited to incense and fireworks and this lighting an actual ship on fire. Where my wife's family is from, Yamanashi Prefecture, it is the common practice to light fires outside of your home to guide the souls to your home, as well as act as a beacon and a pathway for when they return back to heaven. So fire is definitely a theme of Obon, and famously you'll see, for example, in the mountains of Kyoto, they will actually light part of the mountain on fire as a part of the Obon festivities. Again, kind of as a beacon or a pathway so that the souls of the deceased can return home. Now, this is done on the first evening of Obon, which this year it was the 13th, and then it's done on the final night of Obon, which was the 16th. So basically it's 4 days that Obon lasts from dusk to dusk. Much like those original Halloween traditions of leaving out food for ghosts, Japanese leave out food for their ancestors as well. As such, you'll often find these pre-packaged fruit baskets in supermarkets around Obon, and it will usually have grapes and a peach and a pear and maybe an apple. Basically, it's these preset fruit packages, and those will be left as an offering for the family altar in the home, and that will be included with other offerings such as common Japanese foods like miso soup, rice, maybe some kind of kombu or nimono, which is a boiled dish of various items, and very often maybe the favorite foods of someone who has passed. So if your grandfather really enjoyed this particular type of snack, there might be an offering of that snack on the altar as well. Now, in addition to those offerings, in some parts of Japan, you will find some figures also laid on the altar, made from vegetables. The first is a cucumber with stick legs, and that is meant to represent a horse, which the souls of the deceased ride to arrive at your home. And the other one is an eggplant, also made to look like it's an animal with stick legs. And in this case, the eggplant, or nas in Japanese, represents the ox that the souls will ride back to heaven once Obon is over. And so one of the things I really like about this festival, as you can gather from my description, is this welcoming feeling. The fact that you're happily asking the souls into your house and you're offering them these good things to eat and drink. And basically, it's a way to reconnect with your roots. It's a way to reconnect with your family and your history and where you come from. And not only with the souls of the deceased, obviously, because as Japanese families come back together during Obon, you're also reconnecting with your living family, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, your parents, your cousins, etc. It's a great time for family gatherings, and that is one of the things I really love about the Obon season. It's basically Halloween, but instead of scary, it's joyous and family-based, and that's one of the things I really love about it. It's also common to make incense offerings at the home altar as well. Basically, the process is simple. You light the incense, you stick it into the bowl or dish, whatever that's laid out for that purpose. You ring the bell and you pray for the souls who are visiting. And it is also somewhat common, I don't know if it's everywhere in Japan or if it's just certain types of families or certain types of Buddhist sects in Japan. I actually don't know the details about this. I asked my in-laws and my wife about it, and they couldn't really give me any greater information. So if you live in Japan, please comment below if this is done in your area or with your Japanese family. But in my Japanese family, there's actually a monk who comes from the temple and will chant sutras and pray for the souls of the family of my wife's family. And it's basically a house call by the Buddhist monk to pray for those souls and to chant the sutras. And I got a little tiny bit of footage here. I felt rude to just stand there and film the whole thing, so I just filmed a little bit and then left. Here is some footage of the monk chanting. Some final features of that Buddhist altar are there's always lanterns lit on either side, and those are left on 24 hours a day. They are not turned off at night. They are on all night long. And then there will be some kind of scroll, maybe with sutras written on it or something like that. And then there will be photographs of the deceased persons, so grandparents, great-grandparents, if you have the photos for those people. And basically, I'm not going to show you that on my family's altar just for privacy's sake, but those photos are a very important part of the altar and basically paying respects to those people who have passed. One other thing you'll find in addition to the cucumber and the eggplant stick figures is a hozuki. It's an orange flower that looks like a lantern and is often referred to as a Chinese lantern or Japanese lantern. And because it resembles a lantern, it's part of the Obon sort of figure series because it's meant to also act as a spiritual guide to help the spirits of those who have passed to return. Lantern lighting the way in addition to the fires, etc. Finally, I would be remiss in not mentioning the Bon Odori, which there are these Bon dance festivals that happen around Japan. Basically, in most places, they set up a pavilion and there will be dancers who have practiced it, who will be up on the pavilion, who will dance, and then anyone who wants to join in will dance around that pavilion. And it's usually a festival atmosphere. People are wearing the cotton yukata, kimono, and there will be yatai or street stalls selling food and other items, toys for children and that kind of thing. And it's a very festive atmosphere. So again, it is a happy festival of the dead. And again, that's one of the things I really like about it. Now, do you live in Japan, or have you traveled in Japan during Obon and you encountered some particular customs to the area that you are living or that you visited? Let us know in the comments below what Obon customs you have discovered that I have not talked about, and that would be very interesting for me. I want to learn what the customs are of various villages, towns, cities around Japan, because it's always interesting to hear about the regional variety, which Japan always has plenty of. If I set out to make a video about all of the Obon customs, it would probably be 2 hours long or something like that. But at any rate, I want to thank you very much for watching what I had to say about Obon, and I hope it was informative and enjoyable. And if you think it was, please remember to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, remember to comment below, and thank you so very much for watching. Happy Obon season to you, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.